So as you guys can tell, we are here today. We have a tier list that we made, and I know these are kind of dead, but I feel like they've made a little bit of a resurgence with the blah 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 that I could kill, especially like iDubbbz. I think it was he did fast food mascots that he could kill, and like PewDiePie had Minecraft one, so they made a little bit of a comeback. So I figured I would do a tier list for fashion icons, and I actually thought about doing a tier list a while back when they're popular, but it seemed like everybody was kind of hitting the big ones for streetwear, and I didn't really just want to do what everybody else was doing, but I don't really remember seeing anybody do this, so I figured this could be interesting and a fun little video. Also, a big thing that makes tier lists as entertaining as they are is how controversial they are. So you guys probably won't agree with a lot of the placements that are made on here, so I'm going to put the link for the tier list in the description where you guys can go and make your own placements, and then feel free to screenshot it and DM me on my Instagram. With that being said, we do actually have a guest here today to help us decide on some of the placements.
What's up? I'm Jacob, Tristan's brother. I've been featured in a couple of videos, mostly known for my thumbnail work, though.
So I figured we'd do Adam Sandler first, just because he's
Oh,
a
okay.
pretty easy one to place, and I definitely know where I want to place him.
I don't know. He's kind of a little bit of an X factor. He's got like a kind of a weird dad aesthetic going on.
He does have a weird dad aesthetic, but have you seen the picture of him in the basketball shorts with the Superman t-shirt?
I have not.
This is easily an F tier for me. This terrible outfit, and I think it was pretty recent that he wore that, which this outfit probably would have been acceptable early 2000s, but if he's rocking this in like 2010 whatever, and I'll stick with what I said on my Instagram, dude needs a vibe check. But yeah, next up we'll just start going down the line, I suppose. Odell Beckham Jr. What are your thoughts about him?
Dude, he's got the best cleats on the field, I think. Like
Yeah.
as far as custom cleats go. He
J-
also has his own line of shoes, or not his
yeah,
own line, but
before
he's got
you
like Nike collaborations.
before you get too far on the cleats, and you just mentioned it a little bit, the Nike collaboration. So a lot of the cleats he does are actually Nike collaborations, and they play on the Nike Air Uptempo, which is famous for Scottie Pippen's basketball shoes, and I also really love those. So I like seeing the crazy designs that he comes up with. He did like a Supreme Uptempo golden one, I believe, and then he's done kind of like more of the Atmos, like fur themed ones, which I think are also cool. I think he definitely is one of, if not the best dressed NFL players.
I think so too, but like definitely on the field, I think. But off the field, I think he's got kind of Drake vibes as far as fashion goes.
I'm not like super familiar with Odell's outfits, but I think he also wears a lot of fear of God. I think it's important to note that a lot of the athletes are very inspired by rappers and like musicians and stuff. So a lot of their style may not actually be fully theirs. They're just kind of like biting off the styles of rappers, which can really be said for a lot of people. Where do you think where do you kind of want to place him?
I'd put him in the middle of the road, C tier.
Middle of the road, C tier. All right, yeah, I think C is maybe a little generous. I don't know. I guess we'll see how the list shapes up. I know a lot about Jeff Goldblum. He's actually one of my top 5 actors, and I think he's such an interesting dude. And he even has a new show on Disney Plus. And the first episode of the show, he went to SneakerCon in, I think it was Chicago, and walked around and did a little bit of that. But this dude can always be seen wearing just like crazy outfits, and mostly stuff like Prada with like some crazy button ups with some nice designs. He has like some skinny jeans, and you can even catch him on Hot Ones talking about his first pair of Balenciaga triple S's and how his little kid ripped on him for having big shoes, big shoes. For his age, I think Jeff Goldblum is probably like the best dressed dude out there. But the same thing that we kind of brought up with Odell comes into play with Jeff Goldblum, where it might be like a stylist who's behind a lot of his fashion takes, or the stuff he wears. And I'm saying that because on his Disney Plus show, when he went to SneakerCon, he really didn't have a whole lot of knowledge about sneakers in general. And then you see him wearing something like the Triple S and then like all this Prada. it might be a stylist that's doing it for him, which, isn't a bad thing. It just kind of puts him at a lower tier, in my opinion, on this list because, these are the icons, these are the trendsetters.
Not anywhere nearly as educated on Jeff Goldblum as you, but that seems like a reasonable thing to say.
For those of you who may not be educated on Jeff Goldblum, he's big for his roles in, like, he is an actor, but he's big for his roles in Jurassic Park, The Fly, Thor Ragnarok, and a bunch of other films. I would place Jeff Goldblum up at an A tier because I think he has just a crazy style, but that is if I knew he was actually like behind all of his outfits, I would place him that high because for his age and just like his personality and everything, I think he's just a crazy like influential dresser just to be at that age and still having that much. With the idea of him not picking his own outfits, I'd place him at B tier.
Next one's the guy from mid-90s, right?
Yeah, so next one, this is Nackle Smith, and he's not just the guy from mid-90s. Yes, he was in mid-90s, which if
he's a skater, a pro skater, I know.
Yeah, so he was actually
most famous.
Well, he was actually a part of Odd Future when they started up, and he also is a skater for Supreme. You can catch him in a ton of their lookbooks and things like that, promotional photos for the drops. But I think he also is on another skating team, but I'm not quite sure which one that is. But yes, he was in mid-90s. I think that might have been his acting debut. I think he just dresses like for his profession, I think he definitely dresses like a skateboarder, which is a style in itself. I don't think he's necessarily super influential or an icon, and I have seen him do some things that I definitely don't agree with. For a while, he had like half of his hair dyed green, which I thought looked pretty bad, but yeah, I would not rank him too high on the list. Do you have any opinions on this? I know it sounds like you're not too...
I'm not very familiar. I have no opinion.
Yeah. So for now, I mean, we'll see how the list how it shapes up, but I'm going to put him at a D.
It's Tyler, the Creator. You mentioned Odd Future before. Tyler's kind of like the most prominent Odd Future member. Quite a rap career, starting probably in the mid-2000s and spanning a lot of different type of music, with Flower Child kind of being a divergence from his more like grunge, dark hip-hop that he did in the early part of his career. But he's got kind of like a skater aesthetic, but also like a buttoned up, like more clean skater aesthetic.
To go off his brand Golf Wang, he does definitely have this golf aesthetic where you can catch him in button ups and like pleated jeans with also like a vest or I'm not sure what those hats are called, but those golf caps. And then also to correct you, it's not Flower Child, it's Flower Boy is the album.
But I think Tyler's a kind of a trendsetter. Maybe he wasn't the person who set the trend, but I think he definitely brought a lot of light to it.
To touch on what you said about him being a trendsetter, I definitely agree. And a lot of people attribute a big portion of Supreme's growth to Tyler, the Creator. I don't know if you remember this, but when he was just coming up with Odd Future, he would wear a lot of the Supreme camp caps. And you can see him in the picture there, which I think he cut back on. I don't know if he went back to wearing them a little bit recently, but I know for the majority of it, he no longer wears the Supreme camp caps. But he made those super popular when he came up with Odd Future. And I know like a lot of people kind of got into Supreme from that, or I know of a lot of people who kind of became aware of it through him wearing the brand. So definitely an example of him being a trendsetter. And
I think Tyler gets a B tier. Well, yeah. I think he's a trendsetter, and I don't think it's changed a whole lot, right? Like I think that some of these other people on here who we'll get into have a look that's like evolved, and they've tried a lot of different things, but Tyler has kind of like stayed consistent, even though like his music has changed so much. So I don't know. I think he's not really branched out with his fashion the way that he could, but I still think it's good. And I think he influenced a lot of people.
Yeah, well, I would kind of argue and say that he started off definitely more towards this like skater vibe, and then now with Golf Wang, he's definitely moved more towards that like higher fashion almost, where he's wearing more of this like golf themed apparel and button ups and things of that sort rather than just like more like skateboarding Supreme stuff. I would place him in A, but since you say B, we'll even it out at a B. So next up we have ASAP Rocky, famous for his affiliation with ASAP Mob, and famous for being ASAP Rocky. ASAP Mob is famous for their affiliation with him, but very commonly referred to as like one of the most influential fashion icons. And people are always like, oh, these ASAP Rocky fits, they're so crazy and so good. But I don't know, I kind of feel differently about it. I think he is a well-dressed individual, but I think he is definitely overhyped.
I'm with the crowd on this one. I think ASAP Rocky puts together some killer fits. Like a 1920s women's headscarf, with like some like I don't know, like almost a full 1920s women's like outfit that's like more modern. I don't know.
Are you referring to the babushka outfit? Because that's just a babushka outfit. I think he does have like a more open fashion where he tries on things that people definitely don't do as often, but I also like criticize him for some of this because you can see him wearing the like Balenciaga life raft, which is just like, I'm not sure what the jacket is called, but it might as well be a life raft. The thing was huge, and I don't think that's a good look. Like, yeah, he wears these wild pieces, but people like hold him up on this pedestal.
I'd give him an A tier.
I'm like kind of on the border. I would place him like high B, A. So I'm down to do an A, but if we're getting technical, I would do an A minus. All right, so next up we have Ye, Mr. Kanye himself, the man, the myth, the self-proclaimed god. But yeah, also revered as one of the top fashion icons, and rightfully so.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a total Ye fan, and I don't know, man. He's had killer fashion ever since like forever, since like the early 2000s, and it's changed so much and like evolved, and he's like making these looks, and even if he's the only one rocking these looks, like even if they just completely miss, like he still rocks it. So
yeah, and I think another thing with Kanye is he does all like he's achieved this status without doing like the ASAP Rocky, Billie Eilish stuff where they just wear these wild outfits. Like Kanye, just, he wears stuff and makes it look cool.
Yeah, he used to wear that stuff like pink backpacks and like Bape everything, but
Kanye, he has the Yeezys, that's obviously him, and those are one of the most popular shoes, most sought after shoes. Maybe not so much recently. I still say they would have a lot of hype, just not resale value. He also put on for Antisocial, got caught wearing that, and then it kind of blew up. He's been seen wearing like Palace, I think, when that was kind of small as well. But yeah, definitely influential. You can't argue against that. And I think it's impressive how he does that without wearing like crazy Balenciaga life rafts. And so where would you place Kanye?
S tier, obviously.
I would place him high A. And I'm gonna stick him in at A. We can debate further later if you want, but I have a pretty good reason. So next up we have Bella Hadid, and I'm definitely not very familiar with her style. All I know her for is wearing just kind of weird glasses. Like she's always wearing these rectangle elongated glasses, which I do not like on anybody. So definitely takes some fashion point ticks away from her. But I do know she is known for having a good style. I just have not seen too many pictures, so it's hard for me to judge. Hopefully you have some more insight to give on this.
I have zero insight on this. Put her at E, man. Nobody's in E. Just put her in E.
Next up we have Mr. Shia LaBeouf, Mr. Stanley Yelnats, the one and only. I think this guy is so influential, the most influential fashion individual in my life. I think his style is unparalleled by anybody else. I think he has the greatest fits, and I think he is a trendsetter, undoubtedly, undeniably. I think you can't argue against it. This man is a legend.
I think we see some other people on this list that have definitely taken influence from Shia, and I agree. He's got a pretty epic sense of fashion, and like in its kind of like its truest form, where he just wears what he wants, wears what makes him feel good, his self-expression.
Yeah, and
I think he talked about it on the Hot Ones, where he focuses more on like the shape of his outfit. And he doesn't really care what's on it.
Yeah, and another thing about this too is, like we were talking about with Kanye a little bit, he does this without wearing things like Balenciaga and stuff. Like Shia, most of his stuff is like thrifted and like super thrashed. Another thing I wanted to touch on, the reason I wanted Kanye in A tier, you were saying how influenced other people on this list are by him. Kanye West went to Shia's closet and picked clothes out for himself. Like he raided his closet. That's how influential Shia is. Like Kanye went to him to grab his clothes. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
If that's not S tier, I don't know what is. Next up,
Blondie McCoy is a skateboarder and model for Supreme. Easy C tier.
Blondie McCoy is a model and skateboarder for Palace, correction. And then also another correction, he actually just left the Palace team. I'm not sure if he's on any team as of now, but he does have his Thames brand, which I think is his brand. Definitely not as popular, but has a little bit of clout behind it because of his name. But he is very well known. I think he probably was the most well-known Palace model skateboarder, however you want to put it. His style definitely leans more towards a kind of like respectable fashion, where it is streetwear, but it's also kind of, you know, like something you could wear around your grandparents. But yeah, I would agree, C tier. Influential and a good dresser, but nothing crazy.
I don't think Virgil needs an introduction, but I think his fashion game is weak. D tier.
I know you're a big Virgil fan. Obviously, his work with Off-White and then Louis Vuitton, their fashion director, new role under his belt, very influential, trendsetter, yada yada yada, DJ extraordinaire, has a crazy life, went to UW-Madison, your alma mater. But yeah, I think his personal fashion is a lot quieter than the things he designs, and not as, you know, I feel like he himself is more of just kind of an under the radar individual, but he has these great ideas and, you know, is very influential without himself being like kind of this crazy figure. Yeah, I would say D tier. I don't think he has bad fits, but just, you know, nothing crazy. Like the only reason I would place him high on the list or here on the list is because of, you know, the things he does with his work. So next up, you cannot make a fashion icon list without having the living icon, Jaden Smith. You know, I say that as a joke, but I actually do mean it. You know, this guy has an incredible style, especially for how young he is. He's gone through phases for sure. You know, when he had his really long dreads a couple years ago, he was wearing like dresses and things, which I, you know, personally don't really, you know, might not think that looks the greatest, but I think it's really cool to be exploring like that and breaking the like gender barriers or lines or whatever.
He does have some wild fits, but I don't know if it's as well put together as the people who are up in A and S tier.
Yeah, it is kind of more like a sloppy grunge where, you know, I feel like that's just part of his aesthetic. You know, a lot of the clothes that he wears and is popular for wearing are these like patchwork, crazy cut and sewn with like frayed stuff everywhere. You know, I feel like those are probably some of his most popular pieces. And another thing I really like about Jaden is he wears a lot of the stuff, like a lot of the same stuff. Like you'll see him wearing the same pair of pants in so many pictures on different occasions. Like this dude just wears the same clothes. He's not out there like a lot of the other artists where A$AP Rocky, you'll see him wearing that lifeboat jacket once. It's kind of like Shia, where he brings more of like a realistic approach to it, or, you know, a more obtainable approach to the wardrobe. But I really do like that about Jaden, but I can see where you're coming from, and I kind of agree. Personally, I would put him and A$AP Rocky very close together, if not on the same level. But yeah, I think we're good with that.
JB gets a D tier.
I think with Justin Bieber, it goes with what we've touched on for some other people, where it's probably a stylist who has like a huge influence on his clothing and hair and all that stuff. I think he is above a D tier. I would put him at C. I think his style is actually very comparable to Odell's, especially with the like Fear of God and stuff. I would actually put him probably a little bit above Odell, but yeah, I would definitely argue for a C tier. Just because like he is very influential, I would think.
Ian Connor, the Revenge X Storm shoes, right? And
correct.
I think he's a designer, like a streetwear designer.
Yeah,
I don't know too much about him.
I also don't know a whole lot about Ian Connor. I know there was some legal trouble with like rape or like I think he beat somebody or something. I don't know. He did something bad. I'm not too sure. I just don't know a whole lot about Ian Connor.
Allegedly.
That being said, I have seen a lot of his outfits, and I don't think they're crazy. Like personally, I don't really see the hype that a lot of people put behind him. I think the Revenge and Storms are kind of cool, but then again, it's also basically just a low top Vans with a lightning bolt on the side instead of the Vans like swoosh. I'm straddling a D
Maybe
or an
like
E.
a C.
A C,
Okay.
that's pretty high.
Dude,
Do a D.
let's go with a D then.
All right, Bella's a little lonely at E. Russell Westbrook. I am not familiar with his outfits at all. I know he is regarded as one of the best, one of the best dressed NBA players.
Dude, I think one of the best dressed athletes. Russell Westbrook has always got fire outfits.
Yeah.
I think if you put in anything less than a B, it'd be a disservice to everyone.
Is that so? I really don't have too much knowledge on his outfits. I did look at
Are
a
you
couple.
supposed to do your homework for this?
I did look at a couple of his outfits, and personally, I did not see the hype. If you want to go for a C, all right. C is middle of the road, so it does make sense to have this cluster in there. Next up, we have Ski Mask, the Slump God. He was. We have a large Revenge audience, so it makes sense that he was requested, highly requested. Personally, I do not think the influence he has comes close to these like top tier people that we're putting up on this list as well. Like, I don't think he belongs in an S or an A or a B or anything like that. He does have some cool outfits, and I think like as far as his influence goes, he did have a little bit of influence with the do-rag. We see he was kind of beefing with, I think it was Drake, because he tied his do-rag similarly. But yeah, you didn't really see a whole lot of people other than like ASAP Ferg rocking do-rags.
I think Ski Mask has an awesome sense of style and his own sense of like self-expression and fashion.
I would agree, but I would also say I don't think it's anything like super special.
Yeah, I would say it's not even that great.
Yeah.
As far as like in absolute terms, like definitely it's Ski Mask is cool, and I'm a huge fan of Ski Mask. But yeah, I don't think it's great.
Where would you place him?
Maybe D.
D? Alright, yeah. I was thinking either D or E. And I'm not saying he has bad outfits. I'm just saying like these are fashion icons, you know. And I just don't think he really competes with the top dogs at all.
I actually think Ian Connor's fashion is better.
Yeah,
So,
I would also say that. Because, yeah, Ian Connor, a lot of people would place him higher. And I respect that. But, yeah, as far as Ski Mask goes, I just don't think he is that crazy. So next up, we have Vic Mensa. Chicago native, rapper. Kind of funny to put in the mix with Ski Mask and X because Revenge fans do not like him that much because of some words he said after the passing of X. With that aside, I think he does have a very good style.
yeah, I think if you're doing Ski Mask like that with an E, you have to give Vic Mensa an F.
I followed Vic for a long time, and he's definitely gone through the phases, like similarly with a lot of these people. And he definitely had a phase where he was like more clean, and he's had like a grunge phase. And he wore these crazy Chanel glasses, just like these circular ones where they have like the Chanel branding around the frames. I thought those were so cool. And he's also had some really good suspender outfits, which I definitely vibe with. But personally, I think his style is better than Ski Mask's. I would probably place him at a D on this list. If you're like a hard E, I guess we could put him at E. But I do think he's probably D level with what we've been placing. So next up we have XXX Tentacion, and I would say his style is very similar to Ski Mask's. That being said, I don't think he had too crazy of outfits. I think a lot of the outfits they had were maybe more on like the lazy side. I don't think he cared too much about his fashion like as much as these other people do. I know he had a clothing brand and like he had the Revenge stuff that he had a big hand in, but just looking at like a lot of his outfits, I feel like he didn't really put consideration into it. Like there are a lot of outfits where he was like wearing athletic shorts under like sweatpants and stuff, which I feel like an icon of this level, of this caliber that we're searching for, just really, you know, wouldn't.
Thinking D tier for XXX. His style is really good, I think. multicolored dyed hair and like just his hair in general. Very cool style. But as far as like fashion icon goes, yeah, I think he's kind of a D tier.
Yeah, I feel like his hair definitely was probably like his most influential thing. Like you see so many people with the half blonde, half black hair now. And yeah, but as far as the clothing goes, I feel like he didn't really push that too far.
The other one who's going to lose all your subscribers after this.
Yeah, I mean, I think he did have good outfits, but honestly, I would place him in E tier. I think that's what you said also, right?
I said D tier earlier.
You said D tier.
Yeah.
Well, how do you think he stacks up against the other D tiers? I think Vic has better outfits. I think Ian Connor has better outfits. I think we were a little generous with Knackle, and I'm not sure with Virgil. Virgil's a weird one because of his influence of the clothes he makes. I think that earns him
Virgil back down to F tier, and Knackle down to E tier, and then XXX up to D tier.
I'm all right with Knackle at E tier, and I'm all right with X up at D tier, but
okay,
it's hard to put Virgil at F tier because of the clothes he makes.
He's the director, not the actor. You know what I mean?
Next one, Black Bear. I think he has crazy outfits. Like he wears a lot of, in this one you can see him wearing like a vintage Miami shirt. He wears a lot of vintage stuff mostly. You can see him rocking like Articat jerseys, Bass Pro Shop stuff. Big player in the suspender game, so I respect that. Yeah, I would say second to Shy. I probably get the most influence from Black Bear. I think he has a very great style. I'm not sure how he like stacks up for other people. I'm not sure if he's as influential for other people, but personally I think his style is very good. I don't know, I would place him pretty high on this list, but I'd understand if other people would not.
I think you gotta go B tier, just because like I don't think he shows up on anyone else's list.
Yeah,
and I feel like you want to put him in A tier, so I think B tier is the place to go.
Yeah, personally, like for me, my influence, I would put him like A or S tier for his influence on me. That is, as like for this list, how it stacks up, I think he does definitely fit in with B tier. I think his style is very similar to Jaden's, where it's like more grungy. I think he is probably a little bit better than Jaden just because it's more diverse. Where Jaden, you kind of just get like renditions of the same thing. B tier, I'm all right with.
Dude, I think you need to give Billie Eilish A tier.
A tier?
She's dressing unlike any other like female in the game right now, and she like owns it. I know it's like with some loud, flashy outfits that like totally look like they're just thrown together, you know, in the dark or something. But like, I think that's a cool look.
Yeah,
I think Billie Eilish is definitely A tier, especially for her like inspiration.
Yeah, I agree with her style, or I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I do want to throw a couple criticisms though. One thing I think plays big into it is her age, which you can kind of look at it from a pro and a con perspective. Pro would probably be, you know, like it's crazy that she has this style being so young. Like, is she even 18 yet? I'm not sure. You could also kind of look at her age and be like, why is she dressing like this? You know, how she's dressing so well. Maybe she's taken influence from like stylist, brand label to kind of dress like this. We did a video on her a couple years back, and she was still dressing like this, and that was kind of before her popularity. So I feel like she at least has, you know, some play in it. So I don't know, maybe that isn't too much of a criticism, but the main criticism I have is from her sneaker shopping video, which she was like, oh, I just want to pick something special and unique that like other people don't have. And then she ended up buying only Nike Off-Whites. I think she is well dressed. I think she is an icon, but I would not place her at A. I would place her at B, I would say. It's more she gets like coverage for like how loud she is than maybe how good it looks. I don't know. And ending strong. No, I'm just kidding. Kendall Jenner, I could care less. You're the one who wanted her on here, so you argue your case.
F tier because we need one more person in F tier.
Nah, F tier is supposed to be a bell curve. Kendall Jenner has makeup and stuff. E tier. I don't know. I definitely feel like ASAP Rocky is influential, but I don't know. Just personally for me, it's like hard to put him at an A. But I'm fine leaving him there.
All
I just
right.
wanted to
No,
throw that out there.
you can move him down to a B.
No,
Fine
no.
if I
I
get
feel
Kanye at
B
an
is
A.
too crowded.
Then move Jeff Goldblum down to a C.
Hell no. So this is going to be one of the longer videos. We recorded for almost 50 minutes, but I'm sure it'll get cut down to like 30 minutes. After doing the last 30-minute video, I thought it'd be kind of cool to put like a little phrase like H3 does for anybody who makes it this far to leave in the comments so we know. Do you have anything in mind?
Goody goody gumdrops.
Goody goody gumdrops. Epstein didn't kill himself, something like that.
Oh my gosh.
Peas stored in the balls. Yeah, so if you made it this far, put Epstein's pee is stored in his balls.
Was
stored in his balls. Yeah. If you guys made it that far, put that. And thank you for watching. Could not thank you guys enough. I'm not sure when this will go up, but maybe Thanksgiving Day, maybe after. Happy Thanksgiving if it is Thanksgiving Day. If not, hope you guys had a nice vacation. And thank you for joining us, Jacob. Appreciate it.
It was my pleasure.
All right, that's it, guys, and we'll see you in the next video.